Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head back up towards Gothenburg, Göteborg you should say in Swedish, which as I've told you many a time is the craft beer city when it comes to Sweden. There's a hell of a lot of little microbreweries popping up there. For this one we're actually going to revisit one of the kind of older breweries on the block, and it's been a long time since I've reviewed a beer from them, and this particular brewery have a very good reputation, but it's a sort of new era for them. They weren't too active in times gone by, but they've gotten a hell of a lot more active over the last year or so. So for this one we're going to return to OO Brewing, and we're having a taste of their Bangatan IPA, which comes in at 7.5%, and this one was released, I think it was the 22nd of March 2019 through the small partiers in Systembolaget here in Sweden. From what I gather, this is the first OO beer that they've released through the small partiers for quite a long time actually, so very curious to see how this one tries. I know that on Glassbanken and stuff like that you can get some of the other OO IPAs, so that's something I need to look into. Maybe I need to do a little order to them and try and get some of the more random OO beers. So yeah, very excited to return to this brewery, and I'm sure this will be a very interesting beer, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on it then. So yeah, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from OO Brewing before. No doubt I will add some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about OO Brewing then, on to my brewery notes. So OO Brewing, as I mentioned to you earlier, are based in Gothenburg in Sweden, and they were founded back in 2011 by Olaf and Ole Andersson, who were childhood friends, but for many years they were also very avid home brewers. But they've always just been very interested in beers, and Ole has been heavily involved in the Gothenburg beer scene since pre-drinking age. He was the brewer at Stigbergsbryggeri. He was the one who created the GBG Beer Week, the Amazing Haze, also the Narangi, which is still an OO beer. But this is where the OO Brewing beers were originally produced. They were produced as as extras within the Stigbergsbryggeri. But while Ole is brewing, Olaf manages the business side of the company, but he also works in Copenhagen at a marketing agency. There was talk of him relocating back to Gothenburg, but apparently these two just like to make beers that they enjoy drinking themselves, and they do pretty damn well at it in my experience, because I've enjoyed all the beers that I've had from them so far. So in April of 2017, Ole left Stigbergsbryggeri and fully invested his time in OO, and the company invested in a brewery in the Hisingen, which is near the Tingstead Bridge, and it's equipped with a 2,000 litre system, which means they can brew up to 500,000 litres of beer per year. In their first year they brewed about 100,000 litres, and they are planning to expand it up to capacity over the coming years. And as I said, their beers have been becoming slightly more available. This one is, from what I can remember, is the first one that they released through the small partiers, hopefully not the last, right enough, and we can get some of the other different ones through Glassbanken, and I know that Kiosk over in Copenhagen I've had a few of the different OO beers as well, so I need to keep an eye out when I go across there for them. But yeah, really interesting brewery, this one. They've always got some really good quality beers. Mainly it's IPAs and pale ales and stuff like that they do, but they do have a Pilsner beer which is supposed to be very good. I need to check if I've reviewed that one or not, because I can't quite remember. But yeah, they always have some very interesting beers, and this is a brewery that I really would recommend that you check out, particularly if you like the likes of the Narangi from OO, the Amazing Haze, and the original GBG Beer Week as well. Some very good beers available from these guys. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. The other thing I would really recommend from them is the 50/50 hop series. They do things, they've got the kind of the old nostalgia ones, the Citron, the Simcoe, the Enigma, and the Nelson Sauvin. That was the one I was particularly interested in actually. but they've got a lot of they do a series where it's basically they just mix two different hops together and they call it the 50/50 series, and they've got a very solid base obviously for producing IPAs, so you will see me review a couple of those over the next while as well. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself then. As always, if you want to learn more, check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on and all the latest beer releases. So yeah, let's get on to the tasting as I mentioned. So there you can see, this just looks like it's an old kind of factory roof or something like that, you know, the corrugated iron boards or something like that. I'm not sure, that must have been a photo taken somewhere around the brewery. From what I understand, the area that these guys are based in is quite, you know, industrial if you like. There you can see the OO Brewing symbol on this one. A little bit about the beer. The hops in this beer, incidentally, is hopped with Citra, Simcoe and Mosaic, so a kind of classic lineup of hops. So this one I think should be a very kind of straightforward beer. I mean the OO beers, they're always these ones that are, they're just very, very well crafted, you know, and if you know the Steve Barrett's beers like Amazing Haze, as I say, OO's Narangi as well, you kind of know what to expect from these guys, but you always sometimes get a little bit of surprises. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. Cool to see them doing the cans as well. So without further ado, let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting. I'm very curious to see how this beer turns out. Oh, this looks really nice. You can smell some of these lovely fruity notes out of this as well. Yeah, so we've got most of it, we've got about 80% of it in the can. So we can get rid of the brewery notes now. Come on computer, bye bye, there we go. And we can get on with the tasting. So as you can see with this beer, if I hold it up to the light, it's poured a lovely, quite bright yellow colour. There's a solid finger and a half of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head on this one. That's not a perfect white head. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see very, very you know, very, very nice big hazy quality to it. It's not the haziest beer I've come across right enough. You can get ones that are even thicker than this, but it's not too far off being one of the hazier ones that I've seen. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it does look pretty damn nice, I have to say. So yeah, and you can smell some of these lovely juicy fruity notes just coming out the top of the glass. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at that aroma and just see how we get on. That smells really good. So the thing that I was noticing as soon as I opened the can with this beer, that you smell this lovely soft passion fruity quality, and for me it's the Simcoe's quite distinct in that way. It has this lovely quite soft passion fruity note. The Galaxy I think has a bit of a stronger pungency to its passion fruit, and of course a lot of people, a lot of brewers are moving to Galaxy rather than using Simcoe now, mainly I think because Galaxy has a few more complexities to it. It's got the base passion fruit right enough, but it's got pineapples and other things that can come out with it, so it is quite nice actually to go back and just have a bit of Simcoe every so often again. There are still breweries using it, but I'm finding Galaxy seems to replace Simcoe quite a bit in these beers. But yeah, with this one as well, you can smell the lovely mangoes, which is the Citra hop, and the oranges. I'm noticing the more and more that I smell this, you're getting the kind of tangerine oranges that you would expect from the Mosaic. The Mosaic's a very distinctive hop, tangerine oranges, a little bit of blueberry. Citra's very distinctive as well with its mango qualities, and you can get sort of gooseberries and lychees and a few other lemon limey notes and things like that out of it too. But for me, this beer, lovely soft kind of passion fruity note. Mango's definitely present in this, and a bit later when you take this, the aroma in a bit more deeply, I'm finding that's when you're getting the tangerine notes out of the beer. So I mean, in terms of its aroma, there's nothing about this one that's kind of particularly surprising, but I've been saying this recently about a couple of beers. I suspect that what this one will be, it'll be one that's very, very well crafted and does things like really well. But it's not anything kind of new, if you like. But you know, you can't really ask for much more than that. That's the thing. But the aroma to this beer is very, very nice, and it's leaning towards the juicy side of things when it comes to the, you know, it really is leaning towards the juicy side of things when it comes to the IPA spectrum. I like how what they've done with this beer. It really is quite nice. So yeah, mangoes, passion fruits, tangerine oranges, a little bit of a kind of, I think there's a little touch of a kind of limey note underneath this one. You can pick up a little bit of a lychee note, and you also have a little touch of that blueberry from the Mosaic as well. So it's a really nice kind of combination of fruits that you've got in here. On the green side of the hops, I would say this one's leaning a little bit more towards the I'd say it leans a little bit more towards the grassy side of things. To me, there's not too much of a kind of floral pungency to this beer. Nice grassy note, little touch of earthiness as well, which will be coming from the Mosaic. I always find that Mosaic can give you just a little hint of earthiness, and the malt base comes across as very, very smooth as well. A lot of smooth kind of white, bready, wheaty qualities to the beer, and you've also got some of the oaty creaminess. But to me, there's a little bit of biscuit in there that has a little touch more prominence in comparison to some of the other New England IPAs and stuff that I've come across before. At 7.5% as well, this I think is one that's on, you know, that's kind of on the edge of being a double IPA. I would always say about 8% is when you start to move into the double IPAs, and I've always said this before about some of the other brewski beers and things like that. When it comes to the New England IPA, I think when you start to get around to the 8% mark, you have to be a little bit careful with them, because the alcohol warmth is a lot more apparent with these than it is with the likes of the West Coast IPAs, when you've got the caramel and things in there. But anyway, let's have a taste of this beer then. This one is the Bangatan IPA from Brewing in Gothenburg up in Sweden. My first beer review from these guys in their new generation, if you like, within their new brewery. So let's get stuck into this one. Slanja, skull. Yeah. You know, not surprised with this one at all. I mean, it's very, very good. I like this one. It's got a nice little bit of darkness to the tropical fruit. To me, this beer strikes me. It's almost a little bit nostalgic just because of the hops that are in here. The Citra and the Simcoe is a kind of age-old combination these days. Mosaic, you know, came into the fray a little bit later, but it has been around for a few years now. You know, this is one of these IPAs, you know, if this had been one that was released, let's say in 2015, you know, maybe about 2015 or so, this would be one that everyone was like, oh, you know, this would be one of the ones that really would be sort of revolutionary and things like that, and people would be absolutely raving about this. At this point in time, I'd say it's a really nice, very, very solid, almost slightly nostalgic IPA. You know, if this was one of the ones that was released just when the New England IPAs were starting to come out, then, you know, everyone would be raving about this beer. But again, it's another lovely beer from and I'm not surprised, you know, when you've got someone like Ole Anderson brewing your beers, you know, he's a very, very renowned brewer, and quite rightly in my experience. You know, you wouldn't expect anything less than a very, very solid beer. You know, if you think about this one is as good as the likes of, you know, the Narangi and the GBG Beer Week and the Amazing Haze and things like this. It's definitely got a little bit more, I think the malt base in this one's a little bit more thick and creamy in comparison to those from what I remember. But it's a beautiful beer, this one, so, you know, have a go at this one. It's definitely, this is one of these sort of beers that with the hop bill that's in this one, this is one of these ones that will take you back a little bit to 2015, 2016, I would think, when the New England IPAs were just starting to come out into the scene. But this is a very, very good beer. You know, if you get the chance to try this one, just have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. It really is very good. So yeah, with this one then, let's try and break the flavour down a little bit. So the middle of your palate, you can just feel it being blanketed with this nice kind of white bready, wheaty quality. That just blankets the middle of your palate. On top of that, again, you start to get a little bit of the oaty creaminess, but the oaty creaminess for me, it isn't too prominent, to be honest with you. It's almost like a little bit subtle actually, which is quite interesting. This beer isn't quite as creamy as I remember GBG and Amazing Haze and Narangi being. This one's a little bit lighter. I think it's leaning a little bit more towards the bready, wheaty side of things when it comes to the New England IPAs. But of course, one of the things you have to remember with these styles is they always evolve over time, and every brewer has their own interpretation of it. But I do remember the other ones being just a little bit thicker than that. But again, once you get used to a style, your palate actually changes a little bit, and you start to think about things slightly differently. In the middle of your palate, there is a little touch of a kind of biscuity sweetness to this one, but to me, I'm finding the malt base of this not quite as creamy as I've had from some of the other New England IPAs. This one's a bit, but it's very, very smooth, and it does actually sweeten up a little bit the further into the aftertaste you go. I'm finding the malt base does sweeten up a little touch with this one. But I do really quite like this beer, I have to say. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. Yeah, the malt base is fairly straight up with this one. As I've said in a number of reviews recently, you know, keeping it simple but doing it well isn't a bad approach. Not at all. On the hoppy side of things then with this beer, back corners of the palate, you've got a little touch of earthiness there. That'll be from the Mosaic, but as you come further forward, that earthiness, it spreads forward a little bit, then it kind of evolves to be more of a kind of floral aromatic sort of thing. The beer's almost even a little touch dank as you get forward towards the front of the front corners of your palate. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it just becomes a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice little oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, this one, you know, it has all the things you would expect of these hops. At the very back of that oily bubble, there's a little touch of grapefruit in there. That'll be coming from the citra, I would think. And in front of that, you start to get the passion fruity flavours. Now, the grapefruit is the darkest of these tropical fruits, the darkest, most sour. I don't know exactly what the best descriptor for that is, but for me, grapefruit is a very kind of dark flavour. Passion fruit's a little bit lighter than that. You can feel that coming out just in front of that on the front part of the palate. Then you start to get the mangoes, I think, from the citra coming out as well, which is very nice. So towards the back of that oily bubble, it's definitely a more sort of tropically note that's coming out of this beer. Yeah. I do like how these fruity notes are going together. If when you come towards the front of the palate a little bit more, that's when you start to get the kind of tangerine oranges there. So for me, grapefruit, if you've got this, the fruity part of your tongue, you've got grapefruit, you've got the passion fruits, the mangoes, and then the tangerine oranges. And when you go to the very tip of your tongue, that's when you start to get a little bit of the blueberry and also the kind of lychee notes coming out of this one. There is a little touch of a lychee, which will be from the citra there. The blueberry comes from the Mosaic right enough. And the further you go into the aftertaste, I'm finding the passion fruit starts to push its way out a little bit more, and some of the orangey kind of sweetness remains there as well, which is very, very nice. I really like how all of these different flavours are going together in this one. It's a very nicely done IPA, this one. And as I've said in a couple of reviews recently, this one it's not doing anything sort of new or surprising with the style. It's taken a style that's very well established and just, you know, doing a very good beer. And that's, you know, again, it's not a bad approach to take that. I think they've just done a very nice job of this. They've put hops in this one that we know go very, very well together, and they've produced a really pretty bloody nice beer out of it. So absolutely, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. This is a very, very nice New England IPA, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. The thing that's really standing out for me about this one is the smoothness in the malt base. This one really leans a little bit more towards the kind of wheaty side of things. I think it's more of a wheaty, bready New England IPA, this, compared to some of the other ones which might be a little bit more creamy, if you like. But it's got a very good hop bill on it. Ones that we know that work well together. It's got everything you could want from this style, actually. So as I say, if you get the chance to try this one, I highly recommend that you do. Just a very, very solid New England IPA, but we wouldn't expect anything less of OO Brewing in that regard. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say that this is a mid-bodied beer. Yeah, mid-bodied beer, this one. Carbonation's very smooth. To me, this beer, it has some of that creamy element to it, but it's also got an element of oiliness to it, which I think works as well and brings out some of the fruity notes, which is very, very good. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness. I'd say around 30 IBUs, maybe a little touch more, maybe 35, but I think around the 30 IBU mark, something like that. Malt base, as I say, very, very smooth, but a little touch of sweetness in there from the biscuit, and you've also got some lovely juicy fruity notes in there, but also a little bit of darker qualities from some of the tropical fruits as well. But overall, as I said, a very, very solid New England IPA, this one, another great beer from OO Brewing, and I really hope that I can review more of these beers for you over the next little while. I think there's some very exciting times to come with OO Brewing, and I do hope they start to expand into some different styles over the next couple of years, because I think mainly it has been IPAs, but whenever I've tried stouts, and I did have a Scotch ale actually that was brewed by Ole Anderson from Stigbergets as well. It would be really cool actually to see these guys expand and do a few more different styles. So hopefully that's something we can see from OO over the next little while. But let's leave it at that for this one. So this one, the Bangatan IPA from OO Brewing in Gothenburg here in Sweden. Another very solid IPA from Ole Anderson. But you know, what else would you expect? To me, this is one of these beers that if you went back to 2016, maybe late 2015, this is one of these beers that people would absolutely rave about. It's a little bit of a nostalgic beer, this one, which I really like, but very well done, this, and you can't ask for much more than that. So pick this one up while it's still available in Systembolaget. But let's leave it at that, as I said. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from OO Brewing, and as I said, hopefully I can return to these guys in the fairly near future. I do hope we get more small party releases from them, and I will see if I can get a few of the beers from Glassbanken as well. But thank you again for watching. Make sure you check out my social media and stuff, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Bangatan IPA from OO Brewing in Gothenburg here in Sweden. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slange, skål!